So, Budapest Talk Night, episode 3.
All right. We bow to our friends in Korea.
Okay, thanks for coming. So, if you don't mind, can you introduce yourself? Just 20 seconds. Yeah.
Well, my name is Robert, and I am delighted to be with my good friend Hector, who I met at Toastmasters. I hope you have Toastmasters in Korea, and you go. Another friend is here, Kush, and Danny, who I know also. So I lived in the U.S. for over 50 years. I did many things. I worked for the U.S. government, but I was born in Budapest, and so I decided to come back about 3.5 years ago to be a visiting professor, where I am now at Vashlorand University, ELTE. So I'm happy to be here with my new friend.
Hi, my name is Daniel. It's my third time on this show, and if you haven't seen any of the other episodes already, where I already introduced myself, you've been living under a stone. So that's all from me.
Hello, my name is Vosh. I'm from India, and I'm a student here. I'm doing communication and media studies, which I'm not really interested or probably not going to finish in. But yeah, I already have a job back home that is story writing and dialogue writing for movies. And
Dialogue writing.
Yeah.
You could be a screenwriter.
I am a screenwriter.
Really?
I am
Yeah.
so glad to hear that. Now we have to talk more about it.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. And
We are going to talk about some general topic in Korea, which is fine dust pollution in South Korea.
I did hear about it a couple years ago, like 2-3 years ago, because this whole situation has been snowballing for a couple of years. And I've heard about it sometime earlier, but it wasn't that imminent problem.
The main issue is that we are using a lot of fossil fuel power plant in Korea, which is almost 39% in total energy power plant. And 30% is the nuclear power. Only just a windmill or some renewable energy source which we are using less than 3% nowadays. So, but also there are some Chinese influence, China influence, which came from their pollution to the here. We are not able to blame to China. Firstly, we need to look at ourselves, and then and main issue is that it's come from ourselves. Electronic consumption in Korea is very higher than other country, so that's also one of the main reasons. I want to hear about each of you that your country case, because when I'm living in Hungary now, but when I breathing air in Budapest, I'm feeling very fresh, much more fresh than Korea.
Really?
Yes.
No, yes, I have friends from all around the world who have been to Budapest, and they said that the air here is extremely clear, like surprisingly clear. This is due to the fact that we are the terrain that we're located in, the Carpathian Basin. It also soaks up a lot of the fine dust that the winds are bringing towards Hungary. But the other reason is that the population is not as dense as it is in Seoul, for example, or other Korean big cities. And the third reason is that Hungary's economy is slowly sort of transforming into a touristic powerhouse, which means that in the past 10 years, 15 years, most of the factories that are producing a lot of waste and a lot of pollution have been deactivated, sold, etc., etc. And now there are no. If you go around the Budapest area, for example, the region that Budapest is situated in, there are no factories nearby whatsoever. So the only source of pollution are the traffic in the city, and that's not too high as well. That's it. Like Hungarian people often decide, like the commonly accepted opinion about cars in the city is that they are too expensive for for the citizens. They would rather take the public transport because it's a lot more affordable.
So most of people they are using the public transportation. So
Not
that is
most of
one the
people.
reasons,
Of course, the streets are still crowded, but there are. I've been to Seoul for quite some time, and from my experience, there are quite significantly fewer cars on the roads, and the roads themselves are a lot smaller, a lot narrower than the ones in Seoul.
Well, when I moved to Budapest, I was told 3.5 years ago, if you want to avoid pollution and get clean air, you have to live on the Buda side. Don't live on the Pest side. So I just accepted this as true, and I live on the Buda side, near Moritz Sigmund Kurt. Now, I have not detected, okay, during the summer months here, the air gets very heavy and uncomfortable. And when I'm on the pest side, I can actually feel in the summertime a little more difficulty in breathing. I know maybe you're used to it already. So when I go back across the river to my apartment, I feel much better. Because there are more trees, there's more green, there's more parks. There are hills and even forests, some places in Buda. Near the Gellert Hotel, there's a big hilly place which has a lot of trees. So I don't see as many green things in the pest side. I don't know about you, am I missing it?
No, that is true, you're correct. And also the density of population is lower on the Buda side. There are just not that many apartment complexes on the Buda side. They don't belong to any political agenda, so they're completely independent health professionals who are doing these surveys, and they're telling that the CO2 emission levels and the smog levels are below the unhealthy threshold. That's that we get these reports. What about the larger cities in the U.S.?
Some have significant pollution problems. New York, Manhattan, Brooklyn. I lived in New York for over 20 years. It's the air, in particular in the summertime, is very, very bad.
Of India, Delhi. I think we are the worst in air pollution all over the world right now.
Yeah, I've been 2 times over there.
To New Delhi, yes, that's the worst. So
The main reason is because of traffic, right? I think a lot of
yeah,
cars.
traffic or industries, everything. But I don't think you can really blame the people and ask them to, travel in the public transport or something because they work hard their whole lives to just buy a car or a house. With the industries as well, like if you're saying that because of the industries there's like pollution, without industries there are no jobs. So then the same public will be like, okay, we need jobs where the industries. But if you're getting the industries, then you're causing their pollution. So how does it work then?
Every country they have an experience about air pollution in the past. Even UK, also they have a serious problem in terms of air.
No, people don't want to do that. They want to have their own house and they want to have their own cars, right? If they worked hard enough, they want to have their own space. So we can't be asking people to sacrifice what they worked hard for from their childhood or from the young age.
I mean, I understand your problem. Of course, you cannot ask people to give up something that they have worked half their life for. But if fixing air pollution and if being more eco-conscious and preserving the planet is not enough of a reward for the people to be more humble in terms of usage of everyday products like cars and electric devices, as you said, that is a huge problem in Korea, then what do you think, how else could perhaps the government incentivize the people to use public transport more frequently or consume less energy?
No, it's fine because it it's probably the government who's going to let the public know because they are the higher power in the state where they're living. So if they start doing that, whatever they want the public to do.
Also, in my experience, leaders of these large industries like the nuclear power industry, they are lobbying so hard for nuclear power not to be eliminated that it's impossible for the governments to replace nuclear power with renewable sources like wind farms, solar panels, etc.
Current government administration, they are trying to abolish all the nuclear power gradually, but finally they didn't do it because of a lot of people they're using electricity, but without nuclear power we are not able to sustain. We need to reduce. We need to try to reduce the energy consumption individually. That's I think the most important things from my side.
I guess the government needs to come up with a law which not has a strict action, like abolishing the industries or something, but which benefits the both sides. No one is going to sacrifice their personal gains just over, even though if it's air pollution and their own health, but they're still not going to sacrifice it. Yeah, so if the government thinks on the both sides,
have to decide.
yes, think about the industries and for the public health, then it may be helpful.
Worldwide challenge of dealing with climate change is much bigger than just air pollution. It's about heating of the earth 1 or 2 degrees more, which will destroy our oceans and our wildlife. And you cannot solve air pollution without addressing the larger issues. And there's no indication right now that China, the US, the EU is a little different. Neither China and the US, which are the 2 biggest economic powers in the world, and China is going to be even bigger than the US in a few years, are willing to address climate change in a serious way. So it's really frightening.
If you actually want to solve an issue like this, I think switching to renewable sources is expensive, as you said, but also as Woosh highlighted, if the environment is getting deteriorated to a certain degree, factories have to be shut down. So either way, it's going to hurt the economy, this way or another way. You know what I'm saying? So either whoever wants to make the decision has to be aware that they either invest in renewable sources now and pay the price now, or a few years later when the problem is going to be so serious that factories have to be shut down and people would become unemployed, as you said. So whoever's making the decision has to weigh one of these 2 options, I think.
Who can decide that?
Yes. I'm so thankful I don't have to. I'm not the one who has to make this decision. It's a lot of responsibility.